Today I'm joined by Noah Ward, a Sarasota-based realtor who's only 24 years old and making over $1 million a year straight from social media and mainly TikTok. He's built a strong presence on all social media platforms, and in the conversation, he's going to break down the exact strategies that helped him stand out in a crowded market. So, without further ado, let's dive in and learn how Noah Ward would go from zero today all the way to where he is if he started all over again, stripped all his followers, and had to do it from the beginning. All right, guys, here he is, Mr. Noah Ward, the ultimate social media and young gun in Southwest Florida. Noah, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. And I'm really hoping to give these people some value today.
Of
So,
course.
right now, why don't we just start off real quick and tell them a little bit about yourself and how you got into real estate at such a young age?
Yeah, of course. So none of my family came from a background of real estate. I mean, my dad's an engineer. My mom has no relation to real estate whatsoever. So it was really just something that I jumped into. I've always been fascinated with construction and architectural designs and stuff like that. I was going to go to college for that, but I ended up just going to college for business management. And so what I found was when I was 19 years old, I figured, hey, well, I'm not sure exactly what I wanted to do yet. I knew that I wanted to do something productive, but I just wasn't sure what it was yet. So I took real estate and I understood that it was going to be a vehicle to where I ultimately was going to end up. To that, where I'm going to end up, I still have no clue where I'm going to end up, but I'm here for the ride. And I'm really just leveraging real estate to be the vehicle for everything. And so I got started when I was 19 years old. I moved from Wisconsin, moved down here to Sarasota. Obviously had no sphere of influence, no family that, that lived down here or anything like that. So it was just really me. So my whole thing was I didn't want to become a traditional real estate agent. I didn't want to be in the business till I was 60 years old selling houses. Like my whole thing was an in and out of real estate, but take the real estate, what I learned from it, and then use that as a vehicle, which now has become my construction company that I own for custom home building. So that's the other arm that I've opened up for building luxury houses with my GC partner. And so I have built so many relationships down here through real estate, and I have basically leveraged social media, specifically TikTok and then some on YouTube, to really garner the attention. What, some people would say a 20-year-old cannot sell houses if they haven't even owned their own house, right? So I was trying to debunk that myth, so to speak, and that's why I had to use social media was to show that I was more of the authority figure. And and then fast forward about 4 to 5 years, now that led to me basically, selling $10+ million of real estate every single year, buying multiple real estate properties myself every year, flipping them and selling them. And then obviously starting this construction company about 3 years ago where we build $1 million+ houses. And so everything has just flourished from social media.
Dang, man, that's a pretty cool freaking story right there. Beautiful. So just so people can understand, you got in the business at 19, as did I. I know the struggles with that, but if you can share a little bit about your struggles of what it was like your first couple years getting into the business at such a young age, especially in a more of a retirement market that Sarasota is. If you could share that and how you overcame those challenges.
Yeah, of course. So obviously the biggest things are one, I was super young. So you're young, you don't know what you're doing. You get these comments, you don't know what you're doing. You've never owned your own house. How can you help someone with the largest purchase of their life? Being only 20 years old, 19 years old, 21, whatever it is. So I got my broker's license at 21 for that reason. I was a sales associate and then I got my broker's license. Didn't plan on like leaving EXP or anything like that, the brokerage I'm at. I really just mainly focused on I wanted to become a broker so that I had that as an authority kind of position, because that's what a lot of people that are in the older demographic, they always are like, okay, well, what credentials do you have? Like that's the biggest thing that I got when I was in the business. Like, oh, well, how many homes have you sold? What's the most expensive house that you have sold? How can you sell a $2 million house if the max house that you've only sold is a $700,000 house, right? So it's very tricky to stair step, especially here in the Sarasota market where our average house price is over $600,000, but homes go over 30 million. I mean, the most expensive house just sold at $32 million
Nice.
out on Longbow Key. So there's a huge range of house prices. And so a lot of people are like, well, you're 20 years old. How can you sell a $2 million house? I've sold $2 million houses when I was 21. So it really was the struggle of transitioning people's mindset into, okay, you're so young. Well, how can you help me? Right. And that's why I got into the social media world of mainly educating people. So I obviously overcame that objection by education purposes. So what I did was I first got started with buyers because buyers were the easiest low-hanging fruit. Because obviously when you're trying to go up against listing agents that have been in the business for 20 plus years, it's very you're very hard to win against someone that has sold a $10 million house.
Right.
It's
Right.
very hard to go up against people. I've gotten a $12 million listing when the max house that I sold at the time was only $4.5 million. So that was a huge jump, but that was only because I positioned myself as an authority figure by building up my TikTok. Now I have like 43,000 followers or something like that. Very hyper local though, only to the Sarasota area. And honestly, that was probably my biggest saving grace was being able to build that platform. Now, whether that's a false reality or false hope for, people, it really came down to I am proving to everyone that I do what I say and that I do have some sort of authority position behind me because I have all these followers or because I know exactly what I'm talking about. Because when I moved down to Sarasota, I had no clue what Sarasota was about. Like, absolutely nothing, right? I didn't know where the best places were, where you should stay, where you should live, what are the attractions, stuff like that. So that's why TikTok helped me, and you'll see this on my other videos that I've made too, is like I basically took news articles. That's how I got started. I took news articles on TikTok of the trending things that were going on in Sarasota. And then I used the green screen effect on TikTok to then teach people about Sarasota. But at the same time, I was teaching myself about Sarasota. So I learned super quick what Sarasota was all about. So that's how I overcame that challenge of, well, you're too young, well, you don't know anything, you're inexperienced, and so forth. I think the other biggest challenge for me was not so much from a personal perspective or from someone else's perspective, but more so my mental perspective, my own personal
Mm-hmm.
mental challenges that I had because obviously when you're on social media, you're putting yourself out there for everyone to criticize you, to praise you, to do whatever they wanted. And everyone's a keyboard warrior behind the screen. But when it really comes to face, no one would ever say that to your face, whatever they say on social media. So I had, I was struggling through starting TikTok, going through the whole process, and one video hit, and I had over, I think it had like 3.2 million views or something like that in 24 hours. I'm like, oh, great. Like I hit the lottery with TikTok. So like at the time I only had like 5,000 followers. And I'm like, oh, great. I'm gonna grow. I'm gonna become super successful, blah, blah, blah. But no one ever tells you with all those views comes all the hate.
Right.
So that really messed with a 20-year-old's head that's still developing. And I don't think a lot of people understand coming into this business being young is that you get a lot more negativity than you do positivity. And that's where I really had to lean into some of the people that I really looked up to in the industry to really push through this mental barrier of your self-doubt of saying, "Oh, well, I'm not good enough because 10 people told me I'm not good enough, but they don't know anything about me."
Right.
I think that was probably it doesn't even matter about telling people, people's perception of you. My biggest challenge in real estate was the whole mental aspect. And the people that closely know me know that it was really difficult to keep going forward just because of all the social hate that I got. And for me, I took that too much to heart.
Mm-hmm.
Being such a young kid, I took that too much to heart to where I let that affect my overall business. And it was a whole mental shift that I had to go through to be able to transition that into who I am today.
Man, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Uh, I think a lot of young people today, being on social media, growing up with social media, have this thing of, they take what the keyboard warriors say to heart, just like you're saying, and it will create limiting beliefs. I had that as well. But you get to a point, and you could probably test this. And if you have a story, that share it, please. But you get to a point where you all of a sudden say, you know what? I don't care what other people say. Like, I am who I am, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And you become comfortable with that. But a lot of young agents, they struggle with that because they feel that, if they're not this HGTV $1 million listing person right off the bat, that they can't do this business. And you literally just debunked that right in front of us and gave us kind of the step by step of how you did it. And I think what you did, only what, 3 4 years, has only been like 3 4 years or so.
Yeah, it's been
Like,
4 years. Yeah.
yeah, so 4 years, and I've watched your journey. I remember you starting to make those TikToks, and I was
Mhm.
like, oh, dude, this is good. Like, this is very interesting stuff.
Mhm.
But being honest and truthful with yourself, like, hey, I don't know anything about this area, so I'm going to become a student that becomes the teacher.
Right.
Like, that's so solid, dude. I think anybody can take what Noah just said and replicate that, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. Like, become the student, become the master. But let's dive in, because I know people are going to ask more about TikTok
Mhm.
and social media
Mhm.
today. Let's start today. I know, this was a few years ago for you. Things have changed. TikTok ban. I don't know. Is that going to happen or not? I don't know.
It's all up for debate at this point.
Yeah,
Who
right.
knows?
Who
We'll see.
knows?
It keeps getting extended.
But if you were going to start today from zero,
Mhm.
as a 20-something-year-old,
Mhm.
what would you do? What would your
So
step one, two, and three be?
that's an excellent question because I get that from a lot of agents that reach out to me because they've obviously seen my journey. And so when I got into real estate or when I got started on TikTok, which technically is when I got into real estate too, back early 2021, December of 2020 was my first video I posted on TikTok. What really was different back then was I had no one to look at to replicate, if that made sense, in the real
Mhm.
estate industry. There was always people that were saying, oh, well, TikTok's just a dancing platform. There's no business application to it. So I was like, well, how am I supposed to look up to someone in this platform to not replicate, but to figure out a framework that's actually going to work?
Right.
So I had to go through a lot of like trial and error, what works, what doesn't work, what is, how do you act on here professionally? Like this was like an early growth stage of TikTok to where people honestly, it was a wild west of TikTok. So people didn't know what to expect. So I was just throwing mud at the wall, trying to figure out what would work and what would stick. And so I had, multiple meetings with my mentor that, helped me form my TikTok profile. And I mean, I dedicate everything to what I've been able to do to him because he helped me through every little bit of it.
Yeah.
And what I realized was it's a very simple process, but you have to be dedicated and very consistent because I get a lot of people that tell me, Noah, well, I want to hop on TikTok. I want to, post videos just like you do, and I want to see the success you do. And people do not understand the work that goes behind it. And everyone's like, oh, it's just a 15-second video. How hard can it be? But people don't really know what's on the actual back end of making that 30-second video, no matter, depending on what content you're creating.
Right.
And so if I was to like strip my following today, strip my following completely down to zero, knowing what I know now after all these 4 or 5 years of trial and error, what I would do is first I would figure out my three content buckets. Obviously, so this is what I live by today is one, I live by house tours. I mean, every real estate agent lives by house tours. That's just a given. Two, even though I've strayed away from this method a little bit now that I have a following, I still need to go back to it, which is the green screen. of talking about like the news articles, stuff like that, that's happening in the local area because that shows you that you're the authority in the space.
Hmm.
And then three, I would have some sort of a viral slash slightly controversial topic that you know people are going to talk about. Those would be my three main buckets, and those are the three buckets that I would pull from. I do lean more now with a construction company. I do lean more so on, development, construction, building, that kind of stuff. And I have strayed away from the green screen. So I would figure out those three content buckets. And then what I would do is, and this sounds like a lot, but I would post three, or I should say, I would format three videos every single day for 90 days, and I would put that on an Excel spreadsheet, which I did, or you could use Google Docs or whatever. And I would create all 90 of those videos in, you know, a week or a couple days. It took me 3 days. So this is why I'm saying it this way, because this is how I went from 10,000 followers to 30,000 followers. Was I did three videos every single day for 90 days straight. That's where I saw my exponential growth in my TikTok journey,
Hmm.
was that I did that. So what I did was I batched out those 90 videos in about 2 days. I took one day to make it all, and they were all green screen. So I stayed in the office. I just knocked out all these videos. I edited all those the next day, and then I had 90 different videos that I could edit and post and then share with people. Even if I got busy, I would still be able to make three posts a day, morning, afternoon, evening.
Right.
And so that's what I would do first, is take those 90 videos, post them for the first, whatever. And then I would then go down to two videos a day for about 30 days, 45 days. And then, because by that time you should then have a pretty solid basis of where your platform's going to go, because your audience is going to dictate what videos they want to see more of. And then
Right.
you take that and then you use that as, okay, well, I'm going to create more of whatever video it is. Oh, people love these green screens. Well, I'm going to create more of those videos. And then you just lean on to that. And then that's how you build a solid platform on social media. And a lot of people say they give up because, I've had agents myself that went under me, right? And they left the business altogether, but that's for other reasons, because in my opinion, I did not set proper expectations. So
Mm.
this was early on when I was mentoring agents, was like I was not setting proper expectations for people because they think, how I grew was so easy, but they didn't see the 3.5, 4
Right.
years of pain and not suffering, but you know what I mean? Like it was just grueling to be able to grow this following to where I can actually monetize it to sell real estate, because that's where I get all my listings. I got the $12 million listing from TikTok, 2 million, 4 million, uh, $1.5 million listing from TikTok. Like it's just, the fact of the matter is it's a very powerful tool. And when you see it from someone, you want it so quick that you're not willing to put in the work and the effort that it's going to take. So, like in my opinion, it's going to take 6 to 9 months of building a solid profile to be able to even start seeing fruits of your labor. And if you give up, it's just like, the graphic that you always see is that little guy like mining, right? And he's dug this tunnel and the gold is just like right there. And he could have kept going just for another, couple feet, and
Yep.
then he would have struck gold. And that's where people, in my opinion, give up so quick, because they do not have that consistency and that drive to keep moving forward.
Dude, that's the perfect framework. I was talking to another agent a couple days ago about Instagram, and
Mhm.
she literally said almost the same exact things of like the 90 days, three times a day, and then that'll give you enough to figure out what direction and what you should double down on.
Mhm.
So I think with that being said, I mean, you just gave everybody exactly how to do it, the mindset, what to post, how to build authority, especially as a newer agent. So, kind of to evolve on that as your business has evolved into the construction niche,
Mhm.
and you go down this path of building your career and evolving ever so slightly every single day. How does that work with your general production, in terms of like just servicing clients? Are you still servicing just mainly clients, or are you trying to go 100% on the development side?
No, so right now, So what's nice about this is that my construction company, my income is not driven from our construction company. My income is driven solely from the production side. So technically I have two jobs. I have three jobs technically, social media, production, and then this construction company. However, what I mainly am focusing on is building my social platform because my social platform is what is driving both the production side and the construction side. So right now it's like a 70-30, 70% production, 30% the construction side of things. Even though we're doing super well on the construction side, my production is my active income and my production side is like not my retirement, but like my savings almost, if that
Right,
makes
right.
sense. So I basically have formed my social media so that it can accommodate both production and construction. So no matter who comes to me, now I am more selective on my clients just because I can be. I'm very fortunate that I can be selective with my clients. So I make sure that the sales cycle is super short, less than 60 days is ideal. If not 90 days is the sales cycle, hopefully. And that everyone that has, a budget of over $500,000, to me, that's what I really focus on for production.
Hmm.
And if someone doesn't meet that criteria, they're either in two boxes. One, they really, really want to work with me to where, hey, listen, like I'm not going to be able to give you my full attention right now until you're ready. But if you're that dedicated on working with me, 100% I'll work with you. Or two is, oh, well, they're a year out. Well, then I will reach out to you in 10 months. Now, I'm terrible at follow up. So we'll just put that out there. I'm absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to you in 10 months if you think you're going to buy in 12 months. And I have a 50-50 chance of still getting that client.
Right. Totally. Yeah. And
So for me, I'm very fortunate of who I get to work with and who I get to be selective with. And so that's just all been through TikTok.
because TikTok's delivering a constant lead flow. So
Yep.
that's awesome. I think the next question people are going to have is what does the journey look like, or what does the sales process look like? Of hey, I saw you on TikTok to congratulations, here's your
Yep.
keys. Just a real
So
quick snap.
yeah, so in reality, TikTok and short form content in general tends to be a longer sales cycle than like YouTube because YouTube is more of an evergreen and you'll talk on that about on your channel and stuff. But for TikTok right now, I have clients that I've closed. I met them and closed within 30 days. They flew down. All right, let's buy this house, closed. Like it's been 30 days. Other times I've waited 9 months. So to me, I would say TikTok roughly is about a 3 to 6 month sales cycle.
Okay.
Now I have some people that's diff. I'm not including the people that say, "Hey, no, I've been watching you for 6 months on TikTok. I'm ready to buy a house." I don't include that because they never even reached out to me on month one. They're reaching out to me on month six of
Hmm.
them following me. But from the time people get connected to me to the time they close, I mean, really recently in the last 90 days, my sales cycle is probably 2 to 3 months on TikTok.
Wow.
5, 6 months ago, it was 6 to 8 months on TikTok. And then before that, it was like 4 months. So it just really comes in cycles and waves. But realistically, it's a 6 month sales cycle on TikTok.
There you go, guys. So basically, ideally, in 12 to 18 months from zero to closing deals consistently, you can
Hmm.
you could be no award just like that. Let's obviously there's way more that goes into it,
Uh-huh.
but let's kind of venture into your brokerage,
Yep.
and how you found EXP, and specifically where you're at the Wolfpack,
Yep.
and how we all got connected here, and then we'll close it up.
Yeah, exactly. So I was actually cold called. So just like, I was in like Facebook groups or something saying, "Hey, I'm getting into real estate, blah blah blah." I had someone cold call me and said, "Hey, Noah, and super nice, not like recruiting at all, anything like that. Just like strictly here to help." And so he stayed with me probably for about 6 to 8 months of just helping me like go through the course, get ready, what to expect. And then he introduced me to Mike Sherrard, who is obviously the leader of the Wolfpack. And I was just so amazed because that I knew that was the route that I wanted to go with social media. And at the time, the Wolfpack and Mike Sherrard were the only ones that were really focusing on building a true social media lead gen platform or system, whatever you want to call it. And
Mm-hmm.
I became one of the original founding members of the Wolfpack when I first got started 5 years ago. And honestly, like my mentor that I told you was Mike. Like he was the one that helped me, even though he had no clue, he didn't talk, he wasn't even on TikTok at the time. He helped me. He utilized what he knew on YouTube, and then we just transitioned it into TikTok. And so I contribute a lot of my success, nearly all my success to Mike, but mainly the Wolfpack, because when I got started back in October of, 2020, I did not know anything. And the
Right.
Wolfpack really just took me in under their wing and it really helped me. And that's the key thing is that a lot of people want to join teams, a lot of people want to join different groups out there, but I've been headhunted by some of the top brokerages here in Florida and I've been offered opportunities that you wouldn't even imagine. And I've turned them all down, and I will always turn them down because I believe so strongly in the Wolfpack and what we've been able to build here. And I dedicate everything that I have been able to do from day one to now solely to the Wolfpack. I would not be here. I would not have what I have. I would not be on the trajectory that I'm at without Mike and the Wolfpack and everyone in
Wow, that's amazing, man. Way to stay humble, dude. Like that,
it.
it's so hard as a 20 something year old because
Yeah.
like, and I'm speaking from experience, it's so hard not to just let your ego become this mega balloon and you're doing it, whether that's faith or your mentors or whatever you're doing, keep doing it because you're very humble for a mid 20-year-old. Just saying.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
Yeah. Just to wrap this up, obviously, all your information is going to be down below if people want to reach out to you. And you guys, if you want to partner with Noah and myself, we can do that now at EXP through co-sponsorship. So you'll get all of his attention and details to social media, TikTok. You'll get all of Mike's stuff, everything that the Wolfpack offers, on top of all my creative marketing systems and AI knowledge that I have. But Noah, thank you so much for just delivering massive value to everybody and giving everybody what they're probably honestly looking for, especially younger agents that are going to connect with this. If you have a quick little parting, 1 minute, 2 minute spiel of should people do it, should they not, what to do, whatever you want to say, just a quick little blurb.
Yeah, no, of course. So, I mean, looking back from everything that I've been able to do, every challenge that I've had, every setback that I've had, every roadblock, what it really comes down to is if you are looking to get into real estate, or maybe you have been in real estate, but you're not really seeing the success that you want, it's really because you're not surrounding yourself with the people that really are going to be able to take you from where you're at now to where you want to be. And that was ultimately my choice and probably the best decision that I have made in my life because I wouldn't be here without it was partnering with the people that I knew that would be able to take me from a broke ass 19-year-old kid to where I'm at today. And I don't think people value that enough because my whole system, my whole time in this real estate industry has been built on relationships and connections and being genuine and fully transparent with people. And that may not work out for some people, but for me, that is what I've led with. And to me, that is where I've been able to open up to people and create these connections that I ultimately would not have been able to do and lean on people when times get tough or when things get rough or if I hit a roadblock, I have those people to fall back on to help me push through the roadblock and get to the next one because there's always going to be another roadblock ahead of you. So that is why it's very crucial to have those people in your corner that you can rely on, like I did when I was 20 years old and now where I got to today.
Beautiful. Well, Noah, thank you so much, man. And I know people are going to reach out to you and connect with you on this one because you just dropped massive value bombs.
And I appreciate it, Alex.
Yeah. All right, brother. I'll see you on the next one.
We'll see you.
All right.